Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale. Our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon.
Good day, everyone. This is Luena J. Lofranco, BSES CRM, and together with my group mates, we will be discussing about the climate change. So everyone is talking about the climate change, but first, do we know what is a climate? A climate is defined as the long-term pattern of weather or the overall average weather in a given area over a long period of time. Approximately, there are 5 main types of climates. These are the tropical, dry, temperate, continental, and polar climate. So here in the Philippines, we have a tropical climate. In general, tropical climate has an average temperatures greater than 64 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, and there is more than 59 inches of precipitation each year. Example, here in the Philippines, we have a tropical climates which are characterized by relatively high temperature, uplift of humidity, and abundance of rainfall. So now, let's go on to our topic. What is a climate change? Climate change refers to the long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. It usually takes hundreds or thousands of years for the climate to change. These shifts may be natural, caused by changes in Earth's orbit, solar variation, volcanic eruption, ocean current, and internal climate variability. But since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change. And recently, our climate has been changing much faster. To have a deeper understanding about the climate change, first we need to understand what is the greenhouse effect. The primary cause of climate change is the phenomenon of greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is a natural process that occurs with gases in Earth's atmosphere trap the sun's heat and warms the Earth's surface. Technically, some of sunlight or the sun's energy or radiation hits the Earth is reflected back into space, while the rest becomes the heat, which makes our planet warm. The heat-trapping gases that cause greenhouse effect are called the greenhouse gases. These include the carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor, and chlorofluorocarbons. So what is the importance of greenhouse gases and greenhouse effect? So greenhouse gases is crucial to keeping our planet at a suitable temperature for the life on Earth. And without the natural greenhouse effect, the heat emitted by the Earth would simply pass outwards from the Earth's surface into space, and the Earth would have an average temperature of about negative 20 degrees Celsius. Just imagine how cold is that. So how we humans are affecting the natural greenhouse effect? It is our human activities that are changing the Earth's natural greenhouse effect. These human activities include the burning of fossil fuels. So what are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are the fossilized remains of plants and animals that store the carbon molecules from photosynthesis. So when we are burning fossil fuels such as oil, natural gas, and coal to create electricity or to power our cars, the stored carbon molecules or carbon dioxide in the fossil fuels are released. Therefore, this increases the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Second is the landfills. Landfills increase the concentration of methane gas in the atmosphere. How? As the organic mass in landfills decompose, methane gas is released. Methane gas is 84 times more effective at absorbing the sun's heat than the carbon dioxide, making it one of the most potent greenhouse gases and a huge contributor of climate change. Third is the agriculture or farming. Nitrous oxide is released from the bacteria in soil. So modern agricultural practices such as tiling, soil cultivation, livestock waste management, and the use of nitrogen-rich fertilizers contribute significantly to nitrous oxide emission. Apart from those mentioned, deforestation also plays a role in increasing the concentration of greenhouse gases. Plants and trees play an important role in regulating the climate because they absorb carbon dioxide from the air and release oxygen in return. Now, when trees are cut down, much of that stored carbon is released into the atmosphere again, which causes the increase of concentration of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The increased concentration of greenhouse gases causes an increase in greenhouse effect. So there is an increased amount of heat that gets stuck. The phenomenon causes the earth temperature to rise, which then results to what we call as the global warming. Since the Industrial Revolution, the global annual temperature has increased in total by a little more than 1 degree Celsius. Between 1880 and 1980, it rose on average by 0.07 degrees Celsius every 10 years. Since 1981, however, the rate of increase has more than doubled. For the last 40 years, we've seen the global annual temperature rise by 0.18 degrees Celsius per decade. As a result, a warmer planet. So what are the effects of global warming? First is the rising temperatures. Second is the rising sea levels due to the added water from melting ice sheets and glaciers and the expansion of seawater as it warms. Third is the unpredictable weather patterns. As the earth warms, rainfall patterns are modified. Weather patterns are shifting or changing, some areas having less rainfall and suffering droughts, others experiencing higher than usual rainfall. Number 4 is the increase in extreme weather events. Example, tropical storms becoming more frequent and severe due to the warmer ocean water temperatures. This change in overall weather patterns and temperature in certain regions is what we refer collectively as climate change. Now, this might get you confused about global warming and the climate change. Just put in mind that global warming refers only to the Earth's rising surface temperature, while climate change includes warming and the side effects of warming, just like what I've mentioned earlier. Now, let's discuss why climate change is identified as one of the major issues and problems in coastal environments. Climate change impacts the coastal environments in many ways. The impact of climate change includes ocean acidification. Oceans are becoming more acidic due in large part to the absorption of some of our excess emissions. As this acidification accelerates, it poses a serious threat to underwater life, particularly creatures with calcium carbonate shells or skeletons, including mollusks, crabs, and corals. The expected major impacts of climate change to the coastal environment include the permanent inundation of low-lying areas due to sea level rise. Another is the increase of coastal flooding and greater erosion rate due to extreme weather events or heavy precipitation. This affects the beaches, rivers, cliffs, and other coastal environments. So that is all for my topic. Now get ready for our next reporter.
Good day. My topic is evaluation of the facts and data about climate change. Earth's climate change throughout history. Just in the last 650,000 years, there have been 7 cycles of glacial advance and retreat, with the abrupt end of the last ice age about 11,700 years ago, marking the beginning of the modern climate era and of human civilization. Most of these climate changes are attributed to very small variation in Earth's orbit that change the amount of solar energy our planet receives. Climate risk and vulnerability vary considerably between different region and group. Coastal areas are generally the most vulnerable due to storms and sea level rise and associated saline intrusion to coastal ecosystem and aquifers. More and more people are concentrated in coastal areas. It is estimated that more than 40% of the world's people live within 100 kilometers from the coast, and over the past decade, more than 60% of disaster losses have occurred in coastal areas. The evidence for rapid climate change is compelling. Global temperature rise. The planet's average surface temperature has risen about 2 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius since the late 19th century, a change driven largely by increased carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere and other human activities. Most of the warming occurred in the past 40 years, with the 7 most recent years being the warmest. The years 2016 and 2020 are tied for the warmest year on record. Warming ocean. The ocean has absorbed much of this increased heat, with the top 100 meters or about 328 feet of ocean showing warming of more than 0.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 0.33 degrees Celsius since 1969. Earth stores 90% of the extra energy in the ocean. Shrinking ice sheets. The Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets have decreased in mass. Data from NASA's Gravity Recovery and Climate Experience show Greenland lost an average of 279 billion tons of ice per year between 1993 and 2019, while Antarctica lost about 148 billion tons of ice per year. Decreased snow cover. Satellite observations reveal that the amount of spring snow cover in the northern hemisphere has decreased over the past 5 decades, and the snow is melting earlier. Glacial retreat. Glaciers are retreating almost everywhere around the world, including in the Alps, Himalayas, Andes, Rockies, Alaska, and Africa. Sea level rise. Global sea level rose about 8 inches or 20 centimeters in the last century. The rate in the last 2 decades, however, is nearly double that of the last century and accelerating slightly every year. Ocean acidification. Since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, the acidity of surface ocean waters has increased by around 30%. This increase is the result of human emitting more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and hence more being absorbed into the ocean. The ocean has absorbed between 20% and 30% of total anthropogenic carbon dioxide emission in recent decades, or 7.2 to 10.8 billion metric tons per year. Climate change is a complex issue encompassing physical, technological, institutional, economic, social, and political spheres. For a sustainable future for all of us, it is essential that we identify the measures and make the right choices for mitigation and adaptation to climate change.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cecilia Franco, belongs to the group 5, and my assigned topic is the prediction for what may happen as a result of climate change. Climate change places compounded and stress our environment as well as the economic, social, and political systems people on for food, safety, and income. There are the possible effects of climate change. More frequent and intense drought. It can affect our community and environment. It includes our economic, environment, and social impact. Storms. Climate change can increase the intensity of storms will likely occur. More heat in the atmosphere and warmer ocean surface temperatures can lead to increased wind speed, heat waves, Threats posed by an extreme heat can increase the risk of other types of disaster. Heat can exacerbate drought. Rising sea levels. A warming climate change can cause seawater to expand and ice over land to melt, which can cause a rise in sea level. Melting glaciers and warming oceans can directly harm animals. Melting the glaciers, a phenomenon that intensified in the 20th century, is leaving our planet iceless, wreak havoc on people's livelihoods and communities. Climate change can affect every country and every continent. People already burdened by poverty and oppression often suffer the harshest consequences while having the least ability to cope. And that's all.
Have a good day, everyone. I am Gwendolyn D. Lofranco, a second-year BSA SRM student, and I am assigned to report the recommendation for next course of action to address climate change. We all know that our world is warming, but taking action in climate change can make all our lives better. And these are our recommendations to address climate change. First, make your voice heard by those in power. Tell your local councilors and city mayors that taking action on climate change is important. A prosperous future depends on their decision about the environment. Second, respect and protect green spaces. Green spaces such as parks and gardens are important. They absorb carbon dioxide and are associated with lower level of air pollution. Third, plant trees. A single tree will absorb 1 ton of carbon dioxide over its lifetime. They help to regulate temperature by cooling overheated urban areas, can reduce flood risk by absorbing surface rainwater, and can provide habitats for a wide variety of insects, animals, and birds. Fourth, try to minimize waste. Whenever possible, try to avoid single-use coffee cups, disposable utensils, straws, and plastics. Waste minimization support efforts to promote a more sustainable society. Fifth, drive less. Walk, bike, or take mass transit more often. You'll save 1 pound of carbon dioxide for every mile you don't drive. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, my name is RBH Lofranco. It's belong to group 5 and my topic is conclusion about the climate change. Even the most stringent mitigation of effort avoid some impacts of climate change. Over the next few decades, indeed, and beginning to see that facts now, this makes adoption essential, particularly in addressing near-term of impacts. However, elongated climate change hold in the long-term belief to exist a capacity to adapt and initial then to develop a portfolio of mix of strategies that include mitigation, adoption and technological development to enhance both adoption and mitigation, and the research of climate change. Science is the impacts of adoption and mitigation, but analysis of the benefits of various mix of strategy is several restricted at the present by lack of the information of potential costs of impacts, by lacks of comfortable information of the damage that could be avoid adoption, and especially by lack of understanding of how these impacts will very understand and different pathways. It is important that these gaps in our knowledge are filled quickly. And that's all. Thank you.